Going live. All right, welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool.
And Sean. Today we got another guest joining us. We're going to have some fun today talking about using funny ads to get traffic to your funnels.
Yeah.
So I guess I said that right.
I think so. I mean, I think that's pretty close anyway. So, so I was doing some research on this guest, and I just kind of stumbled across some suggested friends kind of thing on Facebook. Then I went a little deeper and saw what he did, and I was like, "Oh, he'd be a cool guest. I wonder if he'd be on." And sure enough, he'd be on. And then I saw one of his ads. Actually, I'll show it. Oh, you know what? I didn't even have my screen ready to present. How amateurish of me. It's like playing like Jonathan over here. I saw this is his website, and I saw one of these guys in like a walrus elephant costume thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've got something similar to that.
That's right.
So here I am today in my, I don't know if can you see the wings and the
Yes, I can see that.
Yes. All right.
You've sported that one a few times on our show. And
so
you did that for a Halloween episode, didn't you? Or
I got to tell you though, man, it's like I'm burning up at this point. So we need to bring our guest on so I can get some beer in me. So Jonathan's already cracked the beer. He's ahead of the game.
I have.
Yep. So when I asked for a bio, he really didn't give me one. So hey, so let's just bring him on. You ready? Got the button? Get the crowd. Here's Tom Camp.
With a Seinfeld Costanza shirt on for 2024.
Campaign about nothing. All right. So the first thing I want to say is I got this for an upcoming ad, which is a giant eggplant costume. So you can imagine the jokes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That. What is that guy? Is that a male performance ad?
NDAs.
Easy.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So thanks for having me on. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Just to kind of go over like what I think we're going to talk about, where I believe the conversation is going to be steered. Not only will it be, I'm sure, a bunch of drunken jokes, but the kind of thing that I really want to touch on and talk about is the path of content to conversations to conversion.
Because very well alliterated too. Alliteration is always a plus on this show.
Yeah, so. Big Eminem fan. So if we get enough of these, we might start rap battling.
Yes.
So yeah, for me, it's just like about figuring out that path to the just content, conversations, and conversions. That's kind of what it's all about. So I say, let's crack open our beer and let's start.
Yeah, look at you driving the show. I love it. I love it.
We'll just sit back and drink. Tom, where do you want to take this?
Yeah, so I'm gonna
like Seinfeld. I don't care.
Well, usually that our guests kind of tell us what they're having first. So go ahead and tell us what beer you're having and why you chose it.
All right, so I am having Swoosh, a local brewery around here called Bonesaw, and I'm having it because it was in the fridge.
Bonesaw. That reminds me of
Spider-Man.
Bonesaw.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's
it's such a shame that he's not known for Slim Jim anymore. Like we've crossed that generational gap now where he's just not known for that at all.
That's right. That's right. He's Bonesaw.
Yeah,
for sure.
So hold up that can so we can see the artwork and the brewery, all that. There you go.
Let's see. I can get me out of.
There we go. Got it. Cool. Very cool.
Sponsored and brought to you by Sony FX3 autofocus.
There you go. Make sure we get our royalty on that. Jonathan, what are you having?
Let's see.
Are you still trying to pull it up?
Let me show it off here.
There you go. Oh, look at that fancy can. A hazy IPA, seriously?
Yeah, I'm not. I've already sampled.
I can't believe you bought that.
It was can art. That's what got me.
They got you, huh?
They got
and it's summertime.
IPA as well.
Yeah. It was kind of Grateful Dead kind of thinking, on this, like, this looks really good. So
yeah, kind of a cross between like Deadhead and Candy Skull.
Yep.
Going on there, and a little Muertes. What is it called? Something.
You a big Grateful Dead fan?
Dead. No, but
so this is my first IPA of the season there'll be a few more of these, I'm afraid, just because we're in that time of year. It's Distill. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Distill Brewery, Driving That Hazy IPA. It's 7% ABV. I don't know what this is. They don't have their own website. The Untapped rating was 3.91. So, I don't know. It's just, I can already hint at what this is going to be, but I'm not going to give my score out yet. So
yeah. So Tom, you'll quickly realize we are not huge IPA fans. We think they taste like Pine Sol, and
yeah, they do. Delicious.
Pine, yeah, hazy.
Especially the hoppy ones.
I'll probably switch to Miller Lite after this. So,
is that like pine bark in there?
There must be something like that floating. Yeah,
pine needles. All right, so because I was not willing to go the IPA route just yet, I'm holding off. Even though hurricane season starts tomorrow, which seems to go with IPAs.
Yep.
So I went to the fridge like you, Tom, and I was like, what is left in the fridge that I could actually enjoy on this show? So I pulled out the last of the Hoppin' Frog peanut butter, hazelnut, caramel, chocolate cake stouts.
Nice.
Last of the 4-pack. So I'm going to savor it. Nice and dark. Ready to go.
That was a 4.8, I believe. I'm just kidding.
Probably.
I don't remember.
I don't know. It's going to be better today because it's the end of the season. It's like there's a little bit of longing going on, a little bit of apprehension.
It's the end of the season, and you're drinking it wearing a unicorn outfit. So
it's got to be good, right?
It's got to be good.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's cheers it up to a good show.
All right. Cheers.
There we go. I love how Tom's can clinks like a glass. It's awesome.
Yes.
He's a true beer drinker. He's drinking right out of the can.
Yeah.
All right. So Tom,
I brought a red Solo cup. I was gonna put it in there, and then I was like, I'm just gonna drink it out of the can.
Yeah. That's our whiskey cups. That's what we use for those. So
yeah.
So give us a rating, 1 to 5 pints. You can use decimal points, whatever you want. Points don't really matter, but yep.
Oh, I give it 4.
4. There you go.
I mean, well, I'd probably go like 4.5. It's closer to 5.
Okay.
But 5 is like reserved for upper echelon. But I'm a huge IPA fan.
It is. We don't give many 5s on the show, so
yeah,
it's rare. But all right, so 4.5, not bad. Jonathan?
It's really good. I'm going 2-1, but I'm going to give it a bump up for the can art. I'll give it another 0.5. We'll bump it up to 2.6 for can art.
Okay.
But that's all.
All right. I like it. Yeah, I don't remember what I scored this, but one thing I know after drinking a lot of peanut butter stouts is the longer they are in the air in the room, like the better they get. So I'm just going to go ahead and bump it up to we'll just go with the 4.8 you said, Jonathan.
The 4.8.
I know it's going to end up.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yeah. Somewhere in that 4.5, 4.8 range.
Consistent.
All right.
Every day a different score,
Exactly.
So, that's right.
All right. Well, Tom,
I was watching Seinfeld last night. Not to steer us.
As I'm always watching Seinfeld.
Do you go back and watch the? I forgot what does it? It comes on Comedy Channel or
no? I have an iPad next to my bed with Netflix.
Okay.
It's just a Seinfeld.
Okay.
Device.
I watched the. It was the last season. Last night it was the Slicer episode with the. The meat slicer that Kramer has.
Got to feed the cat.
Got to feed the cat. Yes.
Feed the cat.
I got to tell you, I don't care how many times you watch Seinfeld over and over. If you've seen an episode, it still gets a laugh. It is
every time. It's
one of the most creative shows that's actually about nothing.
Yeah.
Ever written.
Yep. Just what I like about it is it's excellent writing.
Yeah.
But it's no like fluffy crap. Like even I'm a big Curb Your Enthusiasm fan, but I can tell that that's the same mind, but it's all improv. It didn't go through the pre-production phase that I think benefits a lot of art. Like if you write a song and then go and record it right away without doing pre-production, it's not going to come out as polished as when you really tighten everything up. So that's what I love about Seinfeld. Personally.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I've been loving recently on TikTok Seinfeld. There's been some like behind the scenes kind of looking back on how they wrote the episodes.
Right.
they talk about the one, the whale and the golf ball and Kramer,
Yeah.
Golfing, and they go into like details and how much fine tuning they did to that idea to get it where it was. And I love seeing that kind of behind the scenes stuff.
Oh yeah,
I
think I saw that interview where he said where George is telling them about,
and he's
pulling. He was like, Jerry was he was mesmerized at just how he got that, because I don't think he had a lot of time to
same day or something. He got
they wrote it the night before, so they had the whole episode. And then they're reviewing it, and Larry David's like seeing the dovetail of the stories kind of overlaying. And he's like, wait a second. What if we put the golf ball in the blowhole?
Yes.
And then they go like, wait, we have to do this. And they spend all night like rewriting just that tail end of that episode.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even the same show if they don't do that. Like,
it's not.
It would just be kind of weird.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So being able to close those loops is just, just priceless. I mean, you see that on a great, Netflix special, right? Where the last joke comes back to the first joke and
we'll call back.
That whole.
I'm a big fan of Chris Rock. He was like the best at that.
Yeah.
He would just like state like a bunch of ideas, repeat the shit out of like the principle of the idea to get you like to absorb it. And then he'd move on in his show, and then he'd call it right back at the end. And it was just the laugh was just 100x.
Yeah. And it just hits so hard when you do that. So
yeah. That's why honestly, like my favorite thing about marketing, when people go like, oh, like who do you study for marketing? I go like, okay, like there's some marketers, of course, but stand-up comedians, like, they're the best writers because they have to have the timing, the inflection, the dynamic, the story, like all of that stuff that we use, they're amazing at. And they don't have tips and tricks to fall back on. Like I always say, as a musician, I could pull out my guitar right now and I could sing some songs to you guys, and you might hate 3 of them. But if I know that someone likes a Beatles song or a Bon Jovi song, or I could bring out something nostalgic like NSYNC and do Bye 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 or something, like I can win the crowd back with a bag of tricks. Where a comedian's just like one guy with a microphone, and he just or he or she just has to own the room, and all eyes are on you. You misstep, that's it.
It could go off the rails quick. Is there one stand-up comedian in particular that you're a huge fan of?
Carlin definitely shaped me a lot. I'd say, George Carlin. I like Seinfeld. It's funny. I was just saying, I think it was on Rachel Peterson's post the other day, and someone was saying like, no, it wasn't her post. It was someone else, but they were talking about like how they want David Goggins to rewrite his book to be clean because they don't like all the F words. And I was like, honestly, like I want Jerry Seinfeld to be clean, and I want George Carlin to tell the world to fuck off, because anything else is inauthentic. Like I just want them to beat them. Right. Like, whatever that authentic version of who they are is, like do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's good. Have you ever seen the we'll keep this episode clean, but have you ever seen Osho, his talk on the F word? He's an Indian like guru. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
his name, sorry, I cursed. I apologize.
Yes, that's right. We just try to not let it too much because we don't have to put an E on anything.
I got
it's hassle. It's more of a hassle than anything. So anyway, I'm like, one thing that I was told when I was starting writing copy, 15 years ago, was like, you can't do humor in copy, right? There's like this old school kind of, and you hear that a lot about writing in general. Like writing, it's hard to pull off humor in writing. I think, you're a video format, so it's a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
But what's your, like, how have you kind of bridged that? Because humor can be tough.
So I think the first thing that you have to realize is, like, I always say this example, right? Humor, like all art, is subjective. My parents don't think George Carlin's funny. So what we can learn from that is that my parents are wrong, but also that everyone has their own taste.
Yeah.
So, like, everyone's going to think of things differently. So when using humor in your ads, you want to make sure that you're gonna land on the right group of people, but you also need to be willing to alienate people, because there's always going to be those uptight people who just don't like any humor or any jokes. I mean, like, people still like Andrew Dice Clay and Dane Cook, and I gotta be honest with you, I'd rather swan dive off the Ben Franklin Bridge than get tickets to either one of their shows.
Yeah.
but people still like them. So we need to just, what you don't want to do is you don't want to make the mistake of like making jokes at the expense of your audience that they're not going to relate to or understand just because it's funny. Cause I can do that. Like I'll be very often I'll be in a room and I'll be like, oh, I got a good one. And then I'll look around the room and I'll be like, not here.
Not the place.
Not here.
Not with this one. Not with this audience.
Yeah, this is not the place. So it really just, it kind of depends. And to speak to your thing about like written form, and I actually didn't give you guys any kind of backstory. I'll go into that in a minute, let you guys know where I'm from. But I got a friend who lives in Thailand, and he's a copywriter. His name's Nico. He's worked for like some of the really big names in the industry, worked like crazy, and then finally was like, you know what? I want a slower pace of life. I'm going to move to Thailand and just do copy remotely. And now he only takes on a certain amount of clients, all that stuff. So,
yeah.
But he does a cold email. He sends it to me and he goes, hey, what do you think about sending this cold email out? And I read it and I'm like, oh man, I don't know, but I want to see the data. So his email is essentially, it's so I got your number and your email off of the back of a bathroom stall. I was in Bangkok at a Ladyboy bar. And I saw to have a good time, contact you. And by the way, I also saw that you do real estate.
Wow. That's
So
bold.
It's bold, right? Well, he does it. And I was like, so what's the data? Like what came back on that? I'm just really curious. And he goes,
Yeah.
so about 20 to 30% of people told me off. He's like, but my booked call rate was so high because some people were like, all right, like you've got my attention. Like that's funny. I don't really get an email like that often. So like he stands out with it, and he's closed clients off of it. So it's just the humor depends on what you're aiming at, where it's going to land. And also you got to be willing to risk it and test it, but also realize that like people will forgive a joke. Like it's a joke. The people who are willing not to forgive jokes, we're never going to pay you anything anyway, because chances are they're broke and depressed.
Yeah, that reminds me of John. Is it John Buchan? Charm Offensive. I don't know if you've run across his stuff.
Mm-mm.
He does those kind of emails where they're very kind of edgy and a little over the top and things like that. And they're great for cold outreach just because of what you said. They stand out.
Yeah, they stand out.
But you have to be willing to get the backlash of like, this was unprofessional. How dare you send this? Blah 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 blah. You know?
Yeah, it was funny. I was home visiting one time up in Jersey, and I went to my fiance's family's house. I had dinner with her parents and her sisters, and they're all sitting around, and they're talking about like just how different they are at work. Like how oh mom, you're such a good actor. Like you're screaming at us to do the dishes, and a work call comes in, and she's like, hello, like how can I help you? Kind of stuff. And they're recalling all their stories of all the places they work at. Oh my God, when I worked at Rita's, like I'd be having the worst day, and I'd say this, and the one sister's like, I was working at Wells Fargo, and they would laugh at me because I'd be like, yelling at my coworker, and then all of a sudden I'd have to get on the customer service call. And they said, so how about you, Tom? And I was like, oh, I say the F word within like the first 15 minutes of every sales call I'm on. And they just looked at me like, what? And I'm like, yeah, because if they're going to work with me long term, they're going to have to know who I am.
Sure. Right.
Like, I'm a dude from Jersey.
Yeah.
It's going to come out at some point. So for me, it's like more like just the freedom of being your authentic self and stuff like that. And, obviously there's a time and a place, because there are times where I will do work for certain clients. And like, I built websites and marketing campaigns for churches. It's like, obviously I'm not going to go on the call. Like, so
start busting off some.
Did you ever on about the priest and Raquel Welch? That's a Seinfeld reference.
Yep. Pick that up right away. Yeah. That's good.
Well, you said you're from New Jersey, Tom. Tell us like how you, how you got into this particular line of work. Because obviously you've done some other stuff. If video ads are not, they're not been around forever, right?
Yeah.
Especially funny video ads. So I'm curious, like how you ended up here.
I grew up in Jersey. I was a musician. Always wanted to be a rock star. Built a really big audience on MySpace, over 2 million streams, 85,000 followers, and didn't move the audience. So lesson learned. That sucked.
Hard lesson.
Yeah, hard lesson. But through that, I learned how to market my music because I couldn't tour because I had a full-time job. So let me use the internet to get ears on my brand. So
when was this? What kind
08,
of
08, yeah. So
08?
TV just got color.
Yeah.
It was amazing back then. Yeah. Yeah, so it was 08, and then the Rockstar thing's not happening. So I was like, well, I'm gonna parallel that. I'm just gonna be a recording engineer. So I was a recording engineer and producer for a while.
Yeah.
That's a tough one because you're selling to people who don't have a lot of money. So like the smaller the amount of money that they have, the more that it's worth to them. So like not all money is created equally. I can get a $50,000 payout from somebody who they're like, yeah, that makes sense, no big deal. Versus when I remember one time I was recording a rapper in my hometown and I was like, listen, man, it's gonna be like $100. He's like, what? That's so much money. It's like, okay, well, let's not do that anymore. So lesson learned there, right?
Yeah.
Eventually what I did was me and my fiance, I read 4 Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and he says there's 2 ways to give yourself a raise. You can either earn more money or you can move somewhere where your money's worth more and leverage that economy to your advantage. So we left Jersey. Me and my fiance moved to Thailand. Just us, our 2 cats, a guitar. We went there. We were there for about 6.5, 7 years, something like that. And that's when I thought, hey, I'm going to mix music remotely. I'm going to work on music remotely. And I hated it because if you're not in the studio with the artist, if you don't have relationships with them, they're just annoying people in your emails asking you to change their shitty song and make it sound a little better. So I built a website for somebody who saw my recording studio website. I want one. Oh, cool. And the guy was a real estate investor. And I was like, well, it's going to be $6,307. Just pulled the number out of my ass. And he was like, okay. Took me 10 hours.
Yeah.
He's made a boatload of money off that site. So like I knew what it was worth to him. I knew like that he was in the age. So like, and my web developer friends are like, dude, you're ripping him off. You don't even know code. How are you going to do it? I'm like, I'm going to use a front end builder. Like, no, I charge $150 an hour. And I'm like, well, no one's ever right clicked the website, said view source code, and then went, oh my God, I'm going to buy this thing. Look at the HTML code on the back end of the website.
Right.
Exactly. So most people don't even know you can look at source code.
Exactly. That's right. So I built on the site using a front end builder. And then I was like, wow, this was way easier. So I started building websites for people. And then the next year I did SEO, and then I learned Facebook ads. So I, learned email, everything. So pretty much everything in digital marketing I've done. And while living in Thailand, I was kind of like a little like one-man agency kind of thing. Just like, hey, look, come to me. I'm going to help you. You're going to work with me one-on-one. And as I was going, I just kept picking up these skills the more and more I did it until I had an understanding of digital marketing. Then COVID hit, which kind of sucked. Won the 2 Comma Club award, but couldn't collect it because couldn't leave Thailand, or Thailand wouldn't let me back in. So that was to tie it into the funny ads. So I went to FHL, was it 22? Yeah, I want to say 22. And Christine Morel spoke there, and she teaches funny ads.
I was at that one.
Oh, well, cool. Yeah, it was a good one.
She was a great speaker.
Yeah. So Christine and she ran a challenge right afterwards. I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, I should use humor in my stuff. Why don't I do that? Like, I use it at the bar with my friends. I should use it more in my content, right?
Make some money off of it.
Yeah. So she ended up doing a 5-day challenge to like make a funny ad. What was it? In 2022, maybe like early 23. And I joined her challenge, and the last day I was like, all right, let me make a funny ad for this. And I just like threw every joke that I could come up with that night in this ad. I made like a 3-minute ad, too long for an ad, but I ended up uploading it, and everybody loved it in the group. And she actually called me, and she was like, you're really good at this. Like, you should do this for money. I make a lot of money doing this. Like, you should try it. So she kind of like pushed me in. Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess I will try it. So we bought the camera, booked some people, started doing funny ads, and also doing content for people, like short form content. So I've been mainly doing like the video stuff. That's what I've been advertising. But I still have like my agency clients. I still do SEO. I still do manage ad accounts, build funnels, websites, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
Very cool. So what have you learned about what works, what doesn't work when it comes to that's funny. Right before I said it, it's still funny. Like what works and what doesn't work when it comes to length.
Length. Okay.
We'll just let that hang there.
Yeah, we'll let that sit there. This has been sponsored by Viagra. You guys need to get those sponsors in there. Right? Get that sponsor.
Right? I'm telling you.
So
I'm embarrassing myself here.
It really totally depends. Like I always say that the Beatles wrote 2-minute songs and Pink Floyd has written 18-minute songs.
Yep.
And what a shame it would be for Pink Floyd to say in the 70s, you know what, 2-minute songs are popular. Let's cut down money.
Yeah.
To 2 minutes. It'd be a shame. So like to me, a good ad, a good piece of content is just going to take as long as it needs to take.
Sure.
But we also all know when something lingers too long.
Yeah.
So a good ad should have rhythm to it like a song, like the way a drum beat might go for 4 measures and then there's a drum fill at the end. That drum fill should be the joke. It should be like information about your product while maybe some light, funny things happening. You're setting up the joke, delivering info. You're setting up the joke, delivering info, and then boom, hit them with a punchline. And if you just kind of pace your ad that way, it works really well. And then the other thing is, as far as like length goes, I mean, there's been plenty of funny ads that have worked that are longer. And one of the things that I always say is like, you look at the Super Bowl and half the people are there to watch the commercials and a 30-second time slot costs $7 million. And the biggest companies in the world decide to use humor in their ads rather than inform people about their product because people, Americans in particular, will always value being entertained over informed. We don't want you to inform us about anything. Just entertain us.
Right? Yes. I wish more people got that, Tom. Like that is, we are so, I think it's so easy in marketing and business in general, but in marketing, copyright and everything else to take ourselves so seriously.
Yeah.
And think that we're like providing this amazing information packet and that we're cleverly disguising it as, you know, persuasion or sales or whatever, when people just really want to be entertained most of the time.
Yeah. That's why, like, when I do my next course, my goal of my next course is that I want to make my course funny. Like, I want to teach you and deliver and then deliver scenes. Like, all right, I won't say the F word. I'll say beep.
You can say it.
You can beep it afterwards, by the way, if you want.
No, we won't.
But like I did
too much post-production work. We won't do that.
So like I just did
very lazy.
Yeah. I just did a reel the other day that I filmed, and it was all about how what was the hook? The hook was like, oh, did you ever notice how on diets people always go, okay, I've been good all week. I get my cheat day. I can't wait to go slam my face in a chocolate cake. And I was like, diets are the only thing that we do this with. Like, imagine if that was your relationship. And then the scene goes and it's me turning to my fiance and I'm like, all right, babe, it's Saturday. I'm off to go fuck Jenny. And then like I skip out of the house and she's like, all right, good. You deserve it. You've been good all week. Like, so it's like, then I tie that into the principle, which is like that you want to have something in your lifestyle that's worth keeping in your lifestyle that you can maintain, that you don't need to cheat from. And the same thing with marketing tactics and business tactics and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to send 500 cold DMs a day. That sounds terrible. I'd rather do ads and have warmer sales calls so that it's more relaxed and I enjoy myself. While
I also don't want to, I mean, I know how it feels to be on the other end of those DMs. I don't want that to be the feeling that I start a business relationship with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'd much rather start it with them being entertained.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's what the,
what do you think, Tom, what do you think stops people from that? Do you think they're scared that if they're seen as entertaining that they won't be taken seriously?
Two things. Number one, some people just aren't funny. Just
good point.
Grow up in the Northeast, get bullied. You'll find a way to be funny. Because I either had to get tough or I had to get funny. So that's You know, some people just aren't funny. I believe that if you are funny, you can learn to be more funny, and you can learn to work it the right way. Like one of the things that you want to do, especially with humor and stuff, is you can make fun of the symptoms around a situation, but you can't make fun of the situation. Like we have a grief counselor that we did funny ads for. You know what we didn't do? We didn't go on there and be like, your husband's dead. But that would be terrible.
Right.
It's mean. It's not funny or anything like that.
Right.
But if we make, like, the one ad that we scripted out was like the dumb shit people say to you when you're grieving.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there and they're obviously sad. And all of a sudden the line of people just comes up and they say like the stupid stuff, like, you know, oh, he's in a better place, or, you know, whatever. Like we go through the things. It's like, don't you sometimes just feel like doing this? And then all of a sudden grandma gets up and just starts whooping some ass. Like, but
it's John Wick on everybody, huh?
Yeah, it goes John Wick on everybody. And then you hear like the heart noise and it's like, no, I'll be okay. And it's like, look, it's okay if you feel like this sometimes, because, you know, kind of thing. So it's like stuff like that. We're making fun of things that they experience that they relate to without being like such an insensitive ass about it. So yeah, it's honestly, it's the most fun work I've ever done. I've been doing more reels lately than funny ads. In fact, I'm in the process of launching a community all about that. I'm going to teach people like how to make content, like storytelling, reels, even funny ads, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because again, it's all about like content to get them into a conversation and you convert them. And to me, that's just like marketing in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
And content is just a way to like solidify what you know and make you likable. It's like, and also like the shorts kind of help with building that parasocial relationship, which means like when you kind of have a relationship with somebody that you've never met. Like I've seen so much Gary Vee content when my friend got invited me to his birthday party. He threw his 48th birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese in New York City. And she's like, listen, I got a +1. Like, you want to come up to New York and meet Gary Vee? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to meet Gary Vee. It's so weird because you're like, well, I've seen so much of your stuff and you don't know me at all.
Right.
So it's like this one-sided relationship. So like that is the power of content. And then when you think about like sales, what that can do for that, it's just, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, because it's no like and trust, you know, that and they know you, and obviously they keep watching, they like familiarity bias. There's so many things that go into that for sure.
And too many people try to hide the things about themselves like that would, because they're afraid it's going to turn off the wrong person, when like if you just showcase that, it's going to attract people to you who are like you.
Is there something in particular you're thinking about?
Like, for example, my content pillars, when I post things about comedy, I post things about music, I post things about travel, like living in Thailand, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I post about marketing, surprise, surprise, and personal development. But most people just go marketing, buy from me. They're like little mini Billy Mays.
Yeah.
And it's obnoxious. I always relate it to like, you know, when you go to that 4th of July barbecue and there's like the family friend there and all they want to do is talk about business and talk shop and talk work. And you're like, dude, will you shut up? Like, I'm just trying to have a beer and a hot dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, and I've been around people where all they talk about is business 24/7. And you're like,
I mean,
okay.
hey,
they never turn it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You see that in your Facebook feed too, right? You see the guys that
absolutely
every single post is just like business.
Yeah.
Marketing. It's like, man, don't you ever like, you know, eat a donut or something that we could see? You know, like
we had a guest one time, and you'll remember this, Sean. He was the founder, and I'm trying to remember the brewing company that he founded back in the 80s. But he gave us a quote that I always remember, and you'll appreciate this, Tom. He said, treat your product with reverence, but everything else with irreverence. Right?
Oh yes.
It's like
I love that.
And I can't remember the name of the brewing company, but it's been years since he's been on. But
was it Steve Jobs, like just ignoring his family and his kids and everything, only caring about?
Yeah, he had in his other garage, he had a brewing company.
Who knows? He got bought out by a big beer company, so I think he was living the life when we had him on. He was like, completely retired. I think he was doing a little consulting, but
Oh,
I don't know. That was like, to me, that stuck out. It's just like,
Yeah.
that's a good way to, I think that's a good way to live. Live
dude,
your
life's not that
business.
serious. Like we wake up, we take a couple shits, we eat some stuff, and then we die. Like it's the whole thing.
That's right.
So we might as well enjoy our business and our work, especially when
Right.
you think about how most people work 40 to 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be that cold and corporate and rigid for most of your life. That sucks.
And I'm telling you, Tom, I'm in an industry where it is like, I preach this all the time. It's like, I'm in an industry that's very rigid. Like, you know, everybody,
Engineers.
bunch of engineers, you go to trade shows. Like I was out at a trade show last week, and it's like everybody is boring as hell, you know, at these shows. They're not doing anything, and they could be, I mean, you know, really, I think they're really deep down, I think they're really too afraid to do anything that's completely irreverent or humorous, or I think they're afraid of pissing off the wrong people, or it's not going to get approved by corporate, or it's just, it's really bad. But they waste a ton of money on these shows, on these massive booths. They're spending $30,000-$40,000 on a big booth, and the return on investment is horrible, and their marketing is horrible. You pick something up and you go to the website, and it's all just like technical jargon is just the worst, and nothing changed. It's like, nothing changes, and we're talking 2024. Everything still looks like it's 2004, 20 years later. So it's crazy.
So Tom, I'm curious, like, you're especially now that you're doing reels, the demand for that is obviously more frequent than even ads.
Yeah.
How do you, just from a craft perspective, like, how do you capture ideas? How do they come to you?
Okay.
Is this something you can learn? How do you capture them? That kind of stuff.
So I think my secrets also be two things. Number one, I have a Trello board, ClickUp, Notion, pretty much use whatever one the client wants.
Okay.
And we just have a column in there for ideas. So it's like, hey, here's your ideas. Next column's like scripting. Then we'll like film it, edit it, post it. Essentially just that. But that ideas column to me is where the gold happens. And what I tell clients when I meet with them is, I'm like, look, just when you're out and you tell a story and you get like a good reaction from that story, just throw it in the ideas board. We'll figure out how to tie it to content later. Like people want to buy from people. So like, for example, I just flew out to San Diego and I just did all Doug Belton's reels, and I've become really, really good friends with Doug. And I know from him and I hanging out that he went to college in Philly for 4 years. So I turn on the camera and I'm like, hey, Doug, I'm like, all right, so you're going to look in the camera. You're going to say, hey, today we're going to talk about something totally different. He's like, today we're going to talk about something totally different. I go, Philly cheesesteaks. And he just goes, why? Like that. And I went, why not? Like, I know that you've had one. You lived there for 4 years, right? Like, and he's like, yeah. And he goes, all right. And I'm like, dude, just trust me. Let's do it. Like, we'll see what happens. So he tells the story about the first time he has a Philly cheesesteak. And we end up tying the reel into marketing principles, which is just like, his first cheesesteak was at Geno's. And in Philly, there's these two big cheesesteak places that are right across the street from each other. And they're both always busy. Mm-hmm. So we pull 3 marketing principles from there. One about like how competition doesn't matter. Sometimes it can help you. And then I think the other was like, stop worrying about competition, because no cheesesteak place in Philadelphia has ever shut down because another one opened. And then he talked about something with like them with PR. I don't remember what the third principle was, but it's like, we took this story, and because it starts off with like, hey, dude, we're going to talk about cheesesteaks. Yeah, here's the first time I had one. Here's what it was like arriving for college. Like, it feels like you're sitting across the table from a friend who's just telling you a story.
Yeah.
You just want to loosely tie it into your call to action by the end. So the ideation is like really important, because you either want to deliver a message, in which case put that as your primary idea. I always tell them, whatever your primary idea is, I don't care where it fits within my framework, and I'll do the framework in a second. But just figure out what that thing is that you want in your idea. You don't have to script it then. Like, just, you see something funny on TV that you want to throw it in there. We'll figure out a way to make it work in a way that feels organic. So my framework is decently simple. It's hook, get their attention. Whether it's visual and it's somebody hitting you in the nuts with a baseball bat, or it's saying something that's a hook. I always say I want the hook to sound natural though. Like Doug said the other day, it was like I'm so sick of these hooks that are like 3 websites you have to visit or you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Okay. Like nobody wants that anymore. We're tired of that. So it's hook. Then give them a reason. Like tell them the reason why they want to watch this video. Like, hey, in this video, by the end of it, you're gonna learn this. Something like that.
Yeah.
And then I say story/info. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people will just go like, hey, here's 3 tips. But to me, I think stories humanize information.
Yes.
Like I'd rather tell you a story rather than say, yeah, I think you should be bold in your emails. I'd rather tell you the story about Nico sending the Ladyboy email. Like it just humanizes it a little bit more. It feels a little bit more conversational. Then I say to principal, and the principal just has to be like a bite-sized summary of what you want them to learn, like that thing that you want them to stick in that sticks out in their head.
Yeah.
Like for example, just now, be bold. The principle here is be bold in your marketing. And then what I'll do, and this is optional, but I always like to do an analogy after the principle, because if you can use something, and an analogy is like, it's kind of like X, Y, and Z. Typically the analogy is where I can make my joke, because I can say my principle, I've hit them with the story, and then I can make the analogy. So by doing the analogy, you just kind of like solidify that. And I learned that actually from my 5th grade teacher. He like taught us this lecture on something he was teaching us about. And then he asked, hey, okay, who knows the answer to this question? He asked us a question about it. Like 2 hands went up. They're probably nerds. No one else raised their hand. And then he said, great, I'm going to re-explain it. And then at the end, he used an analogy. And then he asked, and everyone's hands went up. He's like, all right, well, kids, what I just did now is I used what's called an analogy, and he taught us what it was. And he said, anytime you want someone to learn something, you can anchor it with an analogy.
Anchor. Yeah, I was thinking of creating those anchors.
Yep. And then the last thing is the call to action, which is just a simple, hey, look, if you're looking to like learn more about marketing, comment the word marketing below, and I'll reach out, and, that kind of thing. And even that should feel more like an invitation.
Yeah.
Like not like but wait, if you sign up today, you're going to get 50% off of my, like, we don't need to do all that stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's just hook. What did I say? Hook, hook, the reason for them to watch, the story / the information, the meat, the principle, the analogy, and then call to action.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how I make all of my content. And then I edit it depending on how long and entertaining it is. I also don't stick to like the 15 to 90 second rule for reels. If it goes to 2 minutes, but it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
So
do you ever have clients that are afraid to move forward on some of these? Like any of your suggestions are
yeah.
They're like, whoa, we can't do that.
I'd be afraid if not. Usually my fiance is the tie-breaking vote, and I tell them, like, when I sit down, I go, all right, I'm gonna quote the Ben Affleck quote here, which is the first thing he said to Matt Damon when they were sitting down to write whatever movie. Don't judge me on my bad ideas, only judge me on the good ones, because I'm gonna throw out a lot of bad ideas. So I always say that in the beginning, but then I say, my job is to find the line, and we're gonna look for it together. But I am absolutely going to end up way over it. So it's going to be up to you to say like, no, I'm not going to do that. like let's reel this back a little bit. Usually I will say something. I'll be like, dude, that's going to be so good though. Like, let's just film it and see. And then you always have the final say.
So you push back a little bit sometimes.
I do, but there's definitely been times where my fiance will like both look over at my fiance. Like I was working with this lady Angela a few weeks ago. And we both like looked at Lauren for like, hey, what do you think? And she's just like, no. And I'm like, damn it.
So sometimes
she'll be like, no, I actually think that would work really well. But yeah, she can be she could be the reason, because
is she the empath in the group? It's like she can just kind of feel the audience's response to it.
Yeah, and honestly, she's funny as hell too. Like that Jenny joke that I said in the reel, that was hers.
Oh wow!
What's really funny? That's a good joke.
Wow.
I have,
Okay.
Yeah.
now I'm curious what is too far for her. My goodness.
This.
Yeah, man. So on the hooks, I want to go back to that for a second
Mhm.
because there's a lot of talk about hooks, especially in video marketing,
Yeah.
whether it's a reel or an ad. It sounds to me like you're saying it could be just about anything. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to, like, I'm seeing right now, I think one of the trends is like where you take like a very like action type piece of a clip from a reel, or maybe somebody's falling and there's a crash and somebody's getting tossed out, and then you like roll into the scene yourself to
Yeah.
kind of continue that feel, or there's a splash of water and it splashes on you.
Or a really stupid freaking dance from whoever,
Yeah.
or you're twerking on Twerk Talk,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever the hell. Yeah. So here's my thing. I'm kind of like the anti-viral guy.
Okay.
I want you to go viral in your industry if that's your goal.
Sure.
But like, I don't want to teach influencers how to get brand deals and eyeballs on their stuff, because to me, it's like, if you're going to make content and you're a business owner, then you want customers, not eyeballs. Like,
Yes.
so we try to like sell out and do these, little viral tactics and stuff like that. And I'm not saying like don't try them, but like, okay, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I've built audiences for other brands. I've done very successful marketing campaigns. The last time I built an audience for myself was when I was on MySpace. I just started posting reels for myself like last month.
Mhm.
And I have an audience of, I don't know, 1,000 on Instagram and like 6,000 on Facebook. So by no means am I like an authority on having a massive audience. What I can tell you is that from one of my reels just last week, I closed a $20,000 deal with a 10% rev share on the back end to build out his funnel into his ads. So it's less about the follower count and more about, again, how do you have that conversation that leads to that conversion point? And that's where I think reels are good, because yeah, it's great if we could all, they say whatever the amount of time is that someone needs to spend with you, say 90 minutes before they make a decision. But what if it was a minute every day for 90 days? That's where shorts come in, because it just kind of like moves and edges that thing along and stuff like that. And then when they're ready to have that conversation, you can close them. So
Absolutely.
for me, it's more about the quality of the content that you're going to put out and how it's related to you as a person and you as a brand.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say like, hey, I want you to create content that's going to convert, it doesn't mean I want you to only go after conversions. I just also want you to be yourself. I want you to create content that's fun to make. Like, I made a 4-minute reel the other day. I'm a really big Metallica fan. And
oh, cool. Awesome.
I bought Kirk Hammett's guitar. Like,
Oh wow.
Oh, sweet.
LTD and like his model, not his. But I bought this purple guitar. I hate these skulls. These skulls are so stupid on the inlays. But like 14-year-old. But I bought it and I did a 4-minute reel just about like why I bought it, what I like about it, what I like about the feel versus.
So that's his actual guitar from.
No, it's his signature model. It's not his
okay.
one. I also bought a Keith Urban signature acoustic, if you just want to know how wide my range is.
Nice.
Sure.
Yeah. Of music. So yeah, so like I did a 4.5-minute video on that. No one's gonna watch that other than guitar players.
Right.
But at least the people who want to hire me or potentially want to hire me are gonna see me and just go like, oh look, he's passionate about that. Even if they're not into it, it makes me not rigid. It makes me not,
Yeah.
It makes you human.
You're real. Yeah, you're real, and you have interest outside of just business. People want to see that. What are you interested in?
Also, pretty cool story since I said Metallica. So last year, after I talked to Christine and she was like, you should try to do funny ads. I went to FHL. Actually, no, it was right before I went to FHL. Sorry, my time was screwed up. So after I talked to Christine, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do some funny ads. I put up a funnel that was like, it was broken. There was no automation on the back end. I like forgot to attach the Zapier thing in the end. So I had like no real lead notification.
Yeah.
But I put the funnel up. I updated my social funnel, just like, hey, we make funny ads and funnels, and if you want one, yada, yada, yada. Started having some conversations, and I bought an all-access pass to Metallica's tour last year.
Yeah.
Which meant I could pay $1,000 and I get early entry to every single show. And I was right up on the rail, like front and center.
Oh, nice.
And I wanted to buy that ticket because, for one, I was at a family dinner and I'm looking around at my uncle and my stepdad, and they're like 60. And I'm like, I can't imagine any of these guys playing Master of Puppets on stage, which probably means my favorite band's gonna die soon. So I should go see them a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
So I was like, all right, let me go get this. Not that they're not gonna die in their 60s, but they're gonna retire at some point. You can't
Sure.
do that every day.
No, for
No, Mick Jagger would.
Mick Jagger. Yeah, I was
He
just thinking
might-
Mick
he might,
Jagger's like what,
disagree with
90?
you.
But it's not even close to like the same, like that with the down picking and it's not aggressive, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just,
Right.
oh god, it's hard.
Yeah.
So I buy the pass and I'm like, well, I want to see them, but I want to make it work. So I started booking clients in San Diego, around LA and Phoenix, and I was able to go on the whole like West Coast side of the tour. And we crushed it. We had like such a good 6 weeks. I think we did like 68 grand in ads. Excuse me. During that 6 weeks, so I got to like go to all these shows. So yeah, it was really cool. But then, of course, like to be transparent and talk about the other side of the entrepreneurial journey that I feel like no one really does, right? I just said, hey, I made 63 grand or 68 grand in 6 weeks. You're probably like, wow, that's so cool. People in the audience. All right, well, then I didn't sell another funny ad until like February.
Yeah.
So it's like that 68 grand lasted me that whole time period. And that's that ebb and flow. Wasn't advertising it, anything like that.
Sure.
So
A feast and famine cycle, right?
it's that
You're
feast
not-
and famine cycle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
It's
why
so
I
easy
do
to
like the
follow to it.
recurring agency model too, because like as long as I hang out in my 10K a month agency model, I can do these other things, and it's just like bonus, and I get to survive off that. So it's a combo.
Yeah, it's so weird how nobody's talking about those famine months. So weird.
There's so many of them. Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
There's always, it's always the good times.
Yeah.
Always the good times.
Yeah,
That's all we see.
there's a funny ad in that right there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, there is.
So is there anything like I'm really fascinated? Like I heard this
Please,
story
sir,
from
Can I have some clicks?
So Tom, I remember hearing, I don't know, probably 10 years ago now, how Taylor Swift has on her app, her notes app on her iPhone, and she'll just any phrase, any idea that pops in her head, she just like puts a one-liner there. She sees an oak tree out the tour bus that catches her attention. She'll just like write oak tree in wherever off, out window of tour bus or whatever. And then when she's songwriting, she just goes back to that and just starts just riffing with that stuff. Do you have anything like that, or do you just where it's just kind of general stuff that then
I
you
try
can
to
like,
use my creativity for sure. Often, I even wrote, like, I will write things just to write them. So like I'm a songwriter. I've been a songwriter for a while. Whatever I'm feeling. Sometimes I'll literally write like rap battles about my friends just to mess with them later. Just be like, yo, listen to this. I'm gonna destroy you with this. Read this real quick, like, or I'll write copy. I'll write songs, write music. What's funny is sometimes I'll try to take influence from things. Like I even wrote a whole Seinfeld themed ad for ClickFunnels that like I've been dying to like. I want to get it going, and then I want to go to Russell and say, listen, I've got a great idea. Like, and it's just full of Seinfeld references, and it's real funny. It's about how, so you guys know the episode The Contest where they
yes.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Essentially, if you remember that, Kramer's out of the contest, right?
Yes. I'm out.
So, yeah. So I'm not going to do every single reference, but just the premise of the first half is that scene where George is trying to figure out like if he can, what his next job could be. And he says, he wants to be a baseball announcer or whatever. Well, they tend to give that to people in broadcasting. So George is sitting with Jerry, the George character, is saying that he wants to be in the 2 Comma Club, but he doesn't have a business and he doesn't have any skills and he doesn't know how to build funnels. And Jerry says, well, honestly, they tend to give those to business owners and, people who make money. So like you have that. Kramer will come in, slam the dollar down. Well, I'm out of the 1 Comma Club. You're out of the one. I'm in the 2 Comma Club. And then it's like this whole argument of like, George is just trying to get in there to get, to get women or whatever. Anyway, I have this whole script. Honestly, it's hilarious. I didn't do it any justice there. But like, that's an example. Like I'll just write stuff like that.
Sure.
But you want to keep it going. I definitely use a notepad. More than anything, I use my Trello board or something like that for that ideation. That's where I like to keep the ideas going. And then if I decide to write a script from that, I'll script out from it.
Trello board. Remind me what a Trello board is.
It's essentially just like if you use ClickUp, Notion, Trello, it's like columns with cards.
Project management.
It's project management. I just move the card. I do it with my ads too. Like I'll put my ideas for my ads in there and then I'll move them to like, are they live or published? And then I'll measure them like, did they win or lose? And bump the losers, get rid of them and keep the winners and just, build out that way. So yeah, it's just like light project management.
Yeah.
So Tom, I'm curious if anything comes to mind, what is the most random like starting point idea you've had that actually turned into a winner?
That's a good one.
That's a good question.
Oh man. Usually it has to be on set because half of these times we go like we'll go, well, let's see. Let's do this.
It's just kind of in the ether and just an idea comes up and it's like
half of the ads that we did, like we did one with Doug. So Doug teaches challenges, selling through the challenge model. So he goes, hey, look, instead of doing sales calls, you can do a challenge to 100 people and close them in the room rather than going on 100 sales calls. And you build the 5 hours of relationship with them over 5 days, yada, yada, yada. You guys are marketers, you know the pitch. So we were at his house and I have like this case of costumes that I just bring places. And we just start going through and I went, I got a doctor costume here. Put this on, and he puts the stethoscope around, and we get him like, that's the start of it. Him like putting his glasses on the thing, and he's Dr. Doug, and all of a sudden it zooms out and it's me, and they're like, oh, they're ready for me. Yeah, it's
is this one?
It's that one.
That's awesome.
I don't know if our hear it.
Yeah,
I can hear.
Doc, I've been having some problems with my business. You think you could check me out?
Yeah, sure. I'll be right back and we'll prep.
Is this normal procedure?
Yes, you're going to feel a little bit of pressure. Let me take a look. Yeah, that's what I thought. How many sales calls are you doing per week?
Like 100.
Oh, that's too many. Yeah, the problem I'm seeing here is you're not doing challenges. You've just seen a diagnosis by Dr. Doug. I'm the challenge expert. So what we just found out about Tom is
what he does in the end that I love is he's like, you need to do one to many sales.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And we did that one like ad hoc, right? Like really quick. That was one of the first ones we did. And we like the idea so much that we've said, okay, we need to flush through that in a script and actually go like rent a doctor's office and do it better. Like get him really examining, but just like the whole premise of, checking your ass while looking at your business is just funny. Never, and it'll get attention. So yeah. So we want to redo that one, but that was the most random one because that was not scripted. There was no idea there. It was, we're pulling things out of the case. We're wrapping up the day. We already filmed like 10. And then we're like, oh, what? This is funny, right? We could do something with a doctor's outfit. So.
And you did that. You rented a doctor's office.
No, we didn't. But we're gonna redo that ad in the future.
I see. Okay.
Like that was just like that was in his bedroom.
You could have fooled me. I guess I would have to watch it again. So maybe
yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I think we're so used to especially with like TikTok and a lot of the reels and where people are doing these multi-characters and where it's not really a full set,
Yeah.
I think we're actually kind of conditioned now that it doesn't need to be like an elaborate set,
No, exactly.
The bar is actually in some ways been lowered.
Yeah.
For that. So yeah, I think
so like another one we were talking to this insurance guy the other day. And he plays middleman for the insurance companies. So he's like a middleman broker kind of thing. So he works for the clients on behalf of them. And then he goes and he shops State Farm and Geico and Progressive and all that. And he finds, hey, here's the best thing for your needs.
Yeah.
Essentially gets them to compete on the price. People win. So he's like, what could we do with that? And I'm like, I want you in a boxing ring beating the shit out of the Geico Gecko, Flo, and Jake from State Farm. Awesome. Like we need to just
full on Friday night cage match.
Yeah, as you're delivering, and by the way, our prices are lower. Just hitting them with the chair. Like we need to do that. We need to rent the thing. And so a lot of times the most random ideas honestly just come from the creativity and the conversation. And then the way you gauge it is like, how much can I make you laugh while we're on this Zoom call?
Yeah.
Like if I can have you see the premise, then we can start building a script and a budget around like what we need to do to make that happen. So
Yeah, that's good. So I'm curious, do a lot of the inspiration or the ideas come from, would you say, more entertainment or sport? Well, entertainment being movies, TV shows, or
I watch a
sports?
lot. I watch a lot of stuff. I watch a lot of stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And
Sports too, right? I mean, because you're
Yeah.
a baseball fan, right?
yeah, I'm a kind of a newer baseball fan. I'm not a huge baseball fan. I'm a fan of drinking beer in the sun. I'm a big fan of drinking beer
Perfect.
outside.
You're the right place.
Definitely a big football fan. For
Oh,
sure.
good. Oh, you definitely at the right place. Beer, football.
Yeah. Unless you guys are like huge Patriots fans.
Oh no.
Let's see. We're more college fans on this.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys like watching kids play
Yes.
Junior League.
Yes.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
so there's this-
well,
there's-
not anymore because they're actually professional athletes now.
Yeah,
'cause
there's
they're
this
getting
thing
paid.
called the NFL, right? So like it's the guys who are good enough. No.
Yeah.
Now, these guys are getting paid now in college,
they
so
are,
they're
yeah.
professional.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
We're all entertainers at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, but I God, I love football. I got to see I'm from Philly, so like I got to see the Philadelphia Eagles win the
course.
Super Bowl
Yeah.
with Nick Foles at 7:00 in the morning in Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Wow.
We were walking down the street the night before. We're walking down like this dirt road, and there's a coffee shop, and it's like closed, but it has like a white little flip chart in the front. It has the
Yeah.
Eagles logo like drawn on, and it says like 6 a.m. Super Bowl tomorrow. Eagles fans only, like Pat fans not allowed. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. So I end up literally in this coffee shop
Yeah.
at 6:00 in the morning with like 7 other people from like the New Jersey, Philadelphia area, all the way, 10,000 miles away. That was cool.
That was that's definitely one of the great seasons of any team
Yeah,
in
That's
NFL
beautiful.
history.
Yeah.
And
That was
honestly,
great.
I haven't been like religiously watching football since then. Like I'll catch it if it's on, but I don't got on my way because I'm like, I already did that for that year. I watched the 4:00 in the morning games. I watched
Sure.
that whole season.
Oh yeah.
'Cause that was our first year living in Thailand. And I'm like, it's never going to get better than that.
Yeah.
So like I saw the best season of that. So
This kind of conversation where it kind of feels like maybe it's a side road, but for those people listening, I'm reminded of there was a video of Eugene Schwartz talking to Phillips Publishing about copywriting, and he always talked about how you should be watching whatever pop culture is watching.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
that's what is in the
Well, I quit.
zeitgeist at the moment.
Or
Whether it's sports, whether it's
wherever they're
he said-
watching at the moment, or whatever has been the most popular in the past. Because
Yeah, like
nowadays people are going back and
Yeah.
rewatching a lot of stuff on Netflix. And
yeah, I'd
but
rather a
but
niche
you can look at
audience.
the top 10 on Netflix every weekend
Yeah.
and see what people
Yeah.
are watching. Like there's
I'd
so much.
rather a niche audience than a dumb one that watches a Kardashian. So I'm totally not included in that.
so are you're
like-
Jersey guy. Are you a Sopranos? Did you watch?
Yeah,
Did you ever get?
Sopranos. Yeah.
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 That was a great.
Actually,
that was a
But I
good
think the
talk
point
about
is like
first
you don't have to actually go with the Kardashians, but why are people watching that? Why are so
Mhm.
many people watching that? There's a
Oh,
reason.
it's again because they're dumb. That's where I was going to land at. Yeah.
Could
yeah.
be.
No,
Could be.
it does depend. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of popular things that are great, like Breaking Bad's the #1 TV show of all time popularity.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
But it is like the reality TV show stuff. Like I can't.
It's tough.
Oh, I hate it.
But
I
it's-
hate it.
Can't.
Like we all hate it.
can't
I
s-
think a lot of marketers hate it, but I wonder what we're missing as far as reach.
It's true.
Sometimes.
But I think that's when you got to kind of ask yourself like the hard questions of like, do you want to be mass market?
Right.
Or
Yes.
do you want
right.
to be niche?
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, I'd
Is that
the
rather
audience
get a
you wanna
bunch
be in
of
front of?
people who want to watch. Like, I watch Shark Tank, which is super popular,
Mhm.
and I love Shark Tank.
Oh yeah. I do too.
But I don't really.
But that's a
wanna-
pretty niche show.
It
Yeah,
is a
still.
niche show.
Yeah.
But also on the flip side of the dumb point, you're gonna love this. we're watching Shark Tank, and I'm sure you guys have seen this in the beginnings of every Shark Tank show. Let's what does it say in the beginning of every Shark Tank show? Sorry, ChatGPT is going to help me.
Oh, you're going to give the disclaimer?
So yeah, the warning at the beginning of each episode of Shark Tank is the following program contains actual investors who have agreed to share their products and ideas with the sharks. Some of the businesses you see on this show will succeed while others will not. That's fine. In the end, it's all their decision. Totally good. Until the last sentence. No, that's not it. This is not the one. Being awesome. Sorry.
Until Mr. Wonderful comes in and
Oh, the following is a paid advertisement for the solicitation of investment. No offer is being made to or solicited to from the viewing audience. How fucking stupid do you have to be sitting on your couch to be like, wait, I'm not getting the $200,000 for 10% of my business? Like, why do we need that warning if the product?
Right. Yeah.
Somebody called in and wanted to know why they didn't get their money.
Why didn't I get my check? Again, you guys are gonna have a lot of beeping work to do on the.
That's crazy.
Process. But isn't that like? It's just so true that like the general public with stuff. And I always, I go back to George Carlin. He says, think about how dumb the average person is, and then realize 50% of them are dumber than that.
That's right. That's right.
So
you're absolutely right.
But everybody thinks they're above average, pretty much.
Everybody does think they're above average.
Yeah.
I am the first one to tell you I'm pretty dumb. I stay in my lane of what I'm good at.
Yeah.
But yeah,
there's always like a 25. It feels like there's always a 25% of the population that is just really dumb. I mean, I listen to some of these, like some of the polls they put out, and it's the 25. It seems like the 25% always answer the same way, and it's always the dumbest answer possible.
Yeah.
So it's like quarter of the country is just
like
lost.
I go with niche, but you're right. If I'm marketing another company, I can step out of my own stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've done marketing for products in both sides of political parties and things like that. Like I can easily step out of my own opinion and just say like, okay, what's going to work with this? And that's when you start scanning. So to your point about the Eugene Schwartz thing, I think it's definitely true.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's brilliant is there's some of these influencers now that are playing the dumb card brilliantly, and they do a really good job of it. Like the girls, especially, that like pretend they don't know how you do whatever. And like the comments just light up. And I read those and I'm laughing. Like the fact that you're answering this and you think this is real is like, is why,
that's my problem. And all these fake prank videos and stuff like that.
It's crazy.
There's a full freaking camera crew. I'm supposed to believe that this is hidden. I'm seeing zooms, pans.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like it's just so
like it's spontaneous. Yeah.
It is the generic content. Unfortunately, I think that people do fall for it. And that's why I said, like, that's where I plant my flag of just like, no, don't do this. Like, if I don't want to do that, I'd rather just have a conversation with people. And there's plenty of work. There's plenty of money. There's plenty of customers. You don't need to be mass market viral in order to, make ends meet, or more importantly, make an impact to the right people.
Yep. 1,000 true fans. Still holds true for the most part.
Yeah, it does.
Well, Tom, how can people find out more about you? If you want them to.
All right. Yes. So, what you do is you go to the courthouse, you look up my name, you look up my prison record, list of crimes,
public record.
Yeah. Right now, you can go to funnyadsandfunnels.com is for the funny ads.
Yeah.
In the process of building out tomcampmedia.com, which I need to. But honestly, just go find me on Facebook. Facebook or Instagram is going to be the best spot to connect for sure.
What's the process when people reach out to you? I mean, you have a conversation. What do you do?
We typically will get on the phone.
Yeah.
So one of the benefits, I think, of the fact that I've been like a one-man agency guy for so long is that I'm not, first of all, I'm not throwing rocks at at the other thing I'm not selling because I know how to do most of it.
Yeah.
So it's not one of those things where it's like, hey, email's dead because I'm selling social. Like that's like what they all do, right? Everything is the opposite of the thing you sell is dead.
Yes.
And all of it works. It just depends on your industry, your position, your location, your customer base, stuff like that.
Right.
So typically what I'll do is I'll get on a call and I'll try to get them to paint the picture of like where they are. I'll do a little bit of research right there and figure out like, okay, what's the best path? For most people, it's going to be content and ads. That's
Yeah.
going to be 90% of people. But also there's times where SEO is really good. Like local business owners are going to want SEO depending on like their area, the competition level. But also on the flip side of that, I've been on calls with like real estate agents who are saying, hey, I want to do SEO in LA. And I'm good luck. Like,
Yeah.
have fun. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
So like it really just depends, but it always starts with a phone call. We just figure out like, hey, how can we help you? Where's your business now? Where does it want to be? And then I just look for that scale point.
Sure.
Because kind of like one of the reasons I love ads so much, especially funny ads, but just ads in particular, is whenever you watch Shark Tank, they walk out on the carpet and the first thing Kevin O'Leary asks is, what does it cost you to acquire a customer?
Yeah.
If they don't have a customer acquisition cost, he doesn't invest because he knows that in order to scale a company, you need to have that figure because then he just throws his money in the form of ad
Right.
spend on it and
Right.
can figure out how to grow it to the next level and things like that. And then of course he tweaks other things along the way, figures out other traffic channels and, you know, tweaks operations to make it more profitable. But at the end of the day, it's just like, how much does it cost you to acquire a customer and what can we do for that? So most businesses would be better off doing ads and validating their offer and validating their service and making sure it's profitable on the front end. But the issue is that you need money up front to do that. You need the ad spend, you need to produce video, stuff like that. Otherwise, you do organic content and you mix that with doing like some attraction marketing, going in Facebook groups, commenting on things, and just attracting people to you so they could see what they're
Yeah.
doing. In fact, that's how me and Sean met, right? I commented on somebody's post. We were doing a little bit of back and forth. He clicked my profile and then he saw what I do, what I'm about.
Yep.
So that's like organic. So for me, it's like usually a
Yeah.
mixture of both.
Are there any sweet spots, like industries that you, I guess, work particularly well with?
I was doing really well with real estate
Yeah.
until two things happened.
Yeah.
They raised the rates, and I
Yep.
learned that I hate realtors.
Yep. That'll do it.
So
I
that
gotta ask though, have you seen? There's a guy here in San Antonio, and I'm in Austin, but San Antonio's right down the road. Brad, the realtor. Have you seen this guy?
Mhm.
Young guy, and he just completely crazy on his ads, like just describing a house like a frat boy would describe a house, like just
Yeah.
I mean, he's
that's
just gone.
hilarious.
And now he's actually doing ads for other realtors in his style
That's cool.
and getting a percentage and stuff. I mean, it's just crazy. Like he just blew up.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
Yeah, just like
check it out.
unique stuff. So yeah, I've done realtors pretty much any business. Like because I've been doing this so long, I feel like I can walk in and say, and
Yeah.
also I have no problem being on a sales call and being like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. I'm not gonna do that. Hey, am I frozen? That's
Yeah,
weird.
you are. But your voice is good.
That's weird. That's a weird spot. To
You've
be.
been frozen in time, but your voice is still going.
All right. Well,
That's
right.
the
yeah. So
Ghost logo.
So let's mention that website one more time:
FunnyAdsAndFunnels.
funnyadsandfunnels.com.
Yep, you got it.
Cool. Very cool.
Looks like that.
Yep.
We make funny ads.
Perfect.
Seriously, we make funny ads.
And actually, I'm going to give you one more little quick tidbit for anybody if you want to pull up the screen share.
Yes.
All right. So anyone who's looking to design their own funnels, I know I'm just giving more stuff away. So scroll up a little bit. All right. Now open up another window and type in clickfunnels.com. All right, scroll down just below that new header. And I'll go back to mine. It's the same. So what I learned from Russell with design hacking
Mhm.
is, number one, you can just go find a really good looking website and model it. You can copy the
Sure.
fonts, you can grab colors. The thing that makes a website the website is the media
Mhm.
and the content.
Yeah.
So he's selling funnels, I'm selling funny ads. I wanted to get that website up in a day, so I went and essentially just funnel hacked that page because I was like, I like it, and then
Yeah.
I changed it to be a little bit of my own. And I
Right.
used a tool called Hoverify to rip the media, rip the text, rip everything. So I essentially built the funnel, the ClickFunnels funnel as it was, and then
Sure.
changed it to mine. So I was able
Perfect.
to build that entire website in like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Using, what did you say? Hoverify?
Hoverify, yeah. It's a plugin. I think it's like $35 for the year. You can also use Colorzilla, Whatafont,
Mhm.
Page Ruler. Like there's like free ones that you can use, but essentially it's just figuring out how to model what already works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then doing that, send some traffic, call it a day.
Yeah. Let the guy with a big team and big budget figure it out, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
right.
And no one's ever going to go to clickfunnels.com. And I mean, I'm in the ClickFunnels world. No one would ever go to both of our websites and then be like, hey, wait a second.
Wait a second.
These look
It's
familiar.
like very similar.
Oh my God. They're
Yeah,
using
no one
the
does
same
that. No
font
one-
as everyone else since
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
No
Nobody
one
cares.
So, yeah.
That's good. I love that.
Yeah.
All right.
Model
We'll
what
let you go, Tom. We know you
All
got
right,
a,
thanks, guys. It was a lot of
you
fun.
know, you got some fancy seats to get to at your ball game.
Yeah.
Drink some extra beer.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, who's
Hopefully,
that? Who are you going to see?
the Phillies, and they're playing someone.
Yeah.
I think they're playing Miller Lite, if I'm not mistaken.
Savannah
Well,
Banana.
They're having a good year.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little too good for my taste,
Yeah.
Jonathan.
I know.
course,
I know.
of
We're
course.
Braves fans.
Yeah, I
so
know.
we-
It's okay. I don't have enough horses in the race in baseball to care.
Yeah.
Like if we could talk trash about the Eagles, maybe I'll get a little offended. But realistically, only if you're a Dallas fan.
Yeah.
Tamara, Sean's wife, she's in your corner though.
Yeah.
So-
She's a
Okay.
Central PA girl, and she's
Oh, cool.
the Phillies side. So
Yeah.
So she probably
That's
also hates the Dallas Cowboys.
show with a
Here's
passion.
my
We live here in
problem, right?
Austin.
We're NFC East. NFC
Doesn't hate
East.
the Cowboys. I hate
Okay,
them.
NFC East, which would be Philadelphia, DC, and New York Giants. When I think of the most central eastern part of the United States, I always think of Dallas, Texas.
Oh yeah, first thing.
Makes
Yeah.
so much sense.
It is
Yeah.
called North Texas, though. For if you live in Texas, it is considered North Texas. So maybe that's
Yeah.
where they got it
Fair
from.
enough.
So,
All right, man. Well,
it's been good to have you on, Tom. Appreciate the
Yeah.
insight and the wisdom. And
yeah, thanks for having me.
yeah, we'll put you. Yeah, I know you got to run, so we'll put you in the green room. If you want to hang out for a second, we'll wrap up and get right back
Yeah.
to you.
30 seconds.
Sounds
we'll be
good. Take
back
your
with
time.
All right.
All right. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Great topic. Again, funnyadsandfunnels.com. Check him out.
Yep.
Good, very good
I want
discussion.
to see you doing some funny composite ads.
I would love to. I would love to. Unfortunately, there's a lot of higher ups in some companies that would probably cringe and shut it down in a heartbeat.
Yeah, yeah. You could make fun of all those engineers. That'd be a blast.
Yeah, I would love to make fun of those engineers. There's some engineers out there that actually do have a sense of humor, Sean.
Yes, there are. I'm sure. Both of them.
They're few and
Both of
far
them do.
between. But yeah, exactly. Good stuff, man. Great, great guest, great episode. You can again, funny hacks. I'll mention it one last time. As the name is no longer on the what is it? Funny ads and
Funnels.
funnyadsandfunnels.com. There you go.
There you go.
One too many 7% there.
Yep.
But you can find our show over at persuasionbythepint.com. You can find us on all of your favorite channels. We're on Spotify, you name it, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, and Sean, looking forward to next week. We got another guest coming up on Dark Persuasion. We're going to kind of transition
To a
from
180 there, from funny to dark.
funny to very dark.
Although dark could be funny. Let's be real.
Might be after this past week. We'll see. But yeah, check us out. We look forward to seeing you next week. Enjoy. Have a great weekend. And thanks a lot.
See ya.